happening, guys? It's Bharat Nagpal. We're here in Rishikesh and we just got over with some outdoor adventure sports. But right now we're talking about the Sony A99, a 24.3 megapixel full frame sensor based camera. It's a fully automatic, fully weatherproof or weather sealed camera is what we call it. It's absolutely brilliant. We've been using this for our shoots and we'll get you lots of images in this video. But let's talk about the camera. The camera itself, the body will cost about 1,80,000 rupees in India, about $2,500 US in the US. And the lens over here we have is a Zeiss 2470. Now this is about 1,09,000 rupees. So the overall package here is about 3 lakh rupees. And it's a full frame 24 megapixel sensor based camera. It does full HD video. Let's talk about it. The camera essentially is a first for Sony. Now this is their first full frame camera which has an SLT design, a single translucent mirror versus flippity flap mirror that standard SLRs use. The camera is essentially really brilliant at letting light through, and it comes into an OLED viewfinder on the top and a LED display at the back. We have a standard flipping style screen at the back, so you have a three-way flip on this, and you get a standard 3-inch screen which allows you to look in front, look at back, unlike traditional full-frame SLRs which have a fixed display at the back. So this makes it really absolutely brilliant. Video quality on this is absolutely amazing. The kind of way in which the camera autofocuses is unimaginable. It gets really crisp video and it manages to find focus without any problems. So on the back of the camera is a 3-inch 1.2 million dot very clear display which is really visible during the day as well. You also have a 2.1 million dot viewfinder, which is an optical, which is not an optical viewfinder. It is an OLED viewfinder over here. Although it's the same when you're shooting with the LCD or with the viewfinder, it doesn't really matter. Unlike traditional SLRs, focus is equally good. So you have phase detection, you have contrast detection, you have all of those with the kind of focus capability we have on this camera. It also has 19 selectable focus points along with an additional 111 that you get within the body of the camera. So that makes focus really accurate and you get really crisp detail from your subject. ISO is also absolutely brilliant, all the way from 100 all the way up to 25,600. You get really crisp images during the day. If you have this kind of light condition where the light is slightly dimmer, we have evening coming on, there's no real sunlight. So at this time, if you go into 25,600 ISO, you still get crispy images. So in terms of image quality, Sony has really come a long way versus their traditional SLT design. With this full frame SLT camera, they've really managed to show what they can actually do with a full frame camera and their technology inside that full frame camera. The camera is also brilliant when it comes to taking video, but there are a couple of problems that we had. First of all, it kind of automatically sets the aperture when you go into recording mode. So if you have to do autofocus while recording video, it will automatically set the aperture to a 3.5 and it won't let you go to a 2.8, which is on this lens. In some cases, it will set it at 7.1 or even at 9. You don't have control over that once the video starts recording, which is something that I really don't like. You have that on the 5D Mark III. You have that on other full frame cameras.
Sony has added a control knob for video mode in front of the camera, which allows direct control over several functions within the camera while video recording. However, some functions are still limited and they cannot be controlled when you're recording video.
On this, aperture shutter control on video is very gimmicky, it's very fidgety. I really wasn't able to get a full control of it. Well, I've only been using this camera properly for a couple of days, so I don't know if I really haven't gotten through the controls properly. But even in full manual mode, I don't have full control once the video starts recording. And it has its own ways of recording video, so which is something that I really don't like about this camera. Although focus and tracking of the subject while recording video is absolutely brilliant. And the kind of videos that we took with this camera, almost impossible to believe that they came out of an SLR. They came absolutely crisp. The kind of frame rates that we got from the camera as well. I'm pretty impressed with the kind of way it does video. I just don't know if it will allow me better control over my subjects. Now on the back we have standard set of dials for the camera. Your flippity screen that I spoke about earlier. You have this joystick kind of button over here that allows you to navigate through your menu system as well. You have a video record button and you have a lot of buttons over here that allow you to set up various things. When you're clicking images, you also have an autofocus range selector. So it allows you to select your distance. So all the way from macro shots to about 1 meter or further, you can set your focus range. So if you're taking a subject which is moving along a single line, you can set a distance of say about 0.5 meter and then continue to take images of that area. So it will never track for focus and it will almost always get your picture within focus. Now on the top over here, you have the main control dial. You have lots of modes, including a scene mode, a panorama mode, and you have fast continuous shooting as well at 10 frames per second. But it does shoot in a crop frame. It does not shoot in a full frame. If you want to shoot full frame images, it'll come down to about 5 frames per second, which is not bad considering that this is a 24 megapixel full frame camera. Now on the top of the camera, you have lots of nice buttons. You have this jog dial that allows you to control your aperture when you're in shooting mode. You also have a conveniently placed shutter button, which is nice. You have an ISO button, an exposure value compensation button, white balance, and then you have the frame or the timer button, which is on the side next to the white balance button. You really need like long fingers to reach out to this button if you're holding the camera like this. My fingers not so bad, but if you have like tiny hands, you might really struggle with the button placement on this camera. Now once you do get into autofocus tracking, you will find out that if you don't set it back to maximum, your camera will stop focusing. So when you're in a scenery area like this, you'll get lots of problems while taking images. Now to give you a quick idea of how shutter speed or the continuous shooting happens in this, we are on a crop sensor mode, so let's quickly take a bunch of pictures. So hear that. My memory card gave up, but the camera didn't. This camera can continue to take 10 frames per second for quite some time before the card buffers. And the camera doesn't have any issues unless you get like a fast, high-speed card, then the camera can continue taking those pictures, which is absolutely brilliant if you're shooting sports, or in our case, when we shot bungee today, this camera is absolutely brilliant. Okay, the top is also nicely laid out. You have the control dial like I spoke about earlier. You can see they marked me number 5 when I was jumping off the bridge. But anyway, so we have the control dial, which is over here. It allows you to select from panorama, scene modes, auto, programmed auto. You have aperture, shutter speed, or manual mode. Then you have 3 user customizable modes that allow you to access things really easily. On the side over here, you have a flash remote, which you can attach over here. GPS is inbuilt into the camera. Accuracy of the location was not so great, and we are shooting with the GPS on right now. So we'll actually go back and see if we can actually get the location of where we are. In the hills, we should get a nice accurate tracking, and we'll update you with that. You do also have a DC in if you're recording on long shoots. You have uncompressed HDMI out, and you have USB connectivity with the computer, and you have audio in and headphones out for tracking audio while you do video recording. You can also attach XLR inputs on the side, which is an additional attachment which costs about 80,000 rupees. You can use that and attach XLR inputs if you want to do really high quality audio. But the inbuilt audio is pretty decent. You also have stereo microphones on the top over here. They capture the ambient sounds really well. We had no issues. The Minolta hot shoe has been replaced with the standard hot shoe, so any of your other camera accessories will also work brilliantly. You also have a display over here that gives you all the relevant information about your shoots, so battery life, the number of images left, f-stop, all those things are available in this. And you also have a small little button that allows you to turn on the backlight. The camera has dual SD card slots. Slot 1 also accepts Sony's Memory Stick Duo or Magic Gate 2 cards, so you can get those used here. I don't know if any of you have those lying around, but if you play a lot of PlayStation, you might have those. But it does take standard SD, SD-XC and SD-HC cards, so no worries with that as well. We have a bunch of people doing illegal activity here. They're cutting the trees, but we're not talking about that. The fact is that the camera almost does not take any time to focus, and it's really accurate even if you're doing like macro photography. The lens on here, the Zeiss lens, is absolutely crystal clear. You will feel that you're actually looking directly through the camera. The glass is heavy, it's really heavy to hold, but it gives you that added grip, it gives you the added feel, and it gives you the added quality in your images. So both the Zeiss lens and the A99, I think they're a perfect combination. If you're beginning with this camera, you can of course get lots of lenses, including 11 lenses which are made for full frame, apart from other lenses which are crop sensors, but they fit perfectly well with this. So apart from the standard camera features that you would find in a full frame camera, you also have creative filters, which is something that you would find on a compact camera. So you have toy mode, a pop filter, a posturization filter, a retro filter, you have soft key, you have a partial color, so you can only select red and they'll only show up in this. It's an absolutely brilliant image. You should be able to see that. Of course, you have a bunch of other settings, including a toy filter and a miniature filter as well, and you can record video in the miniature filter as well, which is absolutely brilliant. So not only do you get the ability to take pictures, you also get the ability to record video in a miniature filter that gives it a really nice and accurate color reproduction. Also, talking about shooting modes, we also have a brilliant panorama mode over here. It clicks a bunch of pictures, and then all I have to do is simply drag the camera across, and it automatically clicks pictures. That was a bit fast. Let me try again. And it continues to click pictures, and then it automatically stitches them together and makes a beautiful panorama right within the camera. I don't know if people will actually use that, but it's a feature that Sony's really added into the camera. So one of the best things about the camera is, especially when I'm outdoors, is the fact that the body is dust resistant. It's also weather resistant. So it's essentially water resistant, dust resistant, and it's a weather sealed body. So it makes it really easy to use this camera when you're outdoors. We took some really nice video while we were next to a small little waterfall, and I wasn't worried that the camera is going to get damaged, simply because the camera has been designed in a way where it allows you to use it in extreme conditions. Of course, you can't dip it in water. It's not waterproof, but it is water sealed. So it will prevent water from going in. You can use it in the rain. You can use it in slightly wet conditions, as well as dusty conditions if you're in a desert, etc. So excellent when it comes to weather sealing.
It may be really difficult for Sony to penetrate a market which is predominantly dominated by the Canons and Nikons of the world. But we feel that the Sony A99 brings in a lot to the table. Apart from the fact that it is a professional full-frame camera, it also brings in a lot of starter features which allow a user to enjoy the full spectrum of usage for the A99. You get inbuilt filters, and you also get panorama shooting. You get excellent quality video with in-body image stabilization, which makes buying lenses fairly cheaper compared to the image stabilized lenses available for Canons and Nikons. The A99 is also possibly the only full frame camera available with a vari-angle flipping screen, allowing the user to truly take a full grasp of utility with the camera. Many other features such as inbuilt GPS and the ability to add dual SD cards make this camera really useful for the professional as well. The fact that some people may debate the light loss in the SLT design may actually depend on what kind of usage you're going to use the camera for. For us, we barely noticed the difference, and it did not really affect the shooting performance of the camera. One thing to notice is, however, that the low light performance of the camera may not be that great, but it does do a great job of ISOs, and it does keep it crystal clear. Whatever your ecosystem may be, Canon or Nikon or even Sony, it may be very difficult for you to shift over to the A99 if you're coming from a Canon or Nikon. But if you're coming in from a Sony, it's the natural upgrade for you. If you're a first-time user and looking to buy a full-frame camera, the A99 may just do you well. For our detailed review and lots of image samples, visit our full review on iGyaan.in. If you have any questions, queries, or feedback, do leave them in the comment section below or on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more camera videos. youtube.com/iGyaan, youtube.com/iGyaanTV. iGyaan Network TV, bell button.